Hello Moto GP enthusiasts, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Márquez has called 2025 almost unrepeatable after a career-defining season, but the champion is clear-eyed about recovery, priorities and what matters heading into 2026. In a wide-ranging interview he reflected on his shoulder rehab, the choice to skip the Valencia test, family moments at the awards and the fierce competition he expects next year. In the new DAZN documentary Volver, former Repsol Honda director Alberto Puig gives an intimate account of Marc Márquez's injury saga and the difficult decisions that led to his comeback. Puig says Márquez reached a moment where surgery and patience were the only option, and praises Honda's backing through the darkest hours. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marquez opened with a clinical update on his shoulder. After a complicated collision that required surgery and a period of immobilization, the champion says the immediate focus has been on getting the bone and ligaments to heal properly. He described a daily schedule of physiotherapy, long treatment sessions, hyperbaric therapy and regular medical checkups every couple of weeks. The routine of a top athlete rebuilding both strength and confidence in a damaged limb. That measured approach explains why medical staff refused his initial plea to ride at Valencia. Short-term riding risked compromising the careful healing process the team has mapped out. Physically, we're improving. The bone needs to heal properly, we have to wait, and the ligament needs to heal as well as possible. The takeaway: rehabilitation comes first. Marquez and his team are trading an immediate appearance for long-term functionality. A choice he frames as essential for being competitive when preseason testing begins. Marquez reflected on what he called his best year, a campaign that saw him clinch the title with races to spare and assert consistent dominance across sprints and Grands Prix. Even so, he tempered celebration with realism. Every season is different, rivals sharpen and technical windows shift. He named the key challengers, Alex Marquez, Marco Bezzecchi and Pecco Bagnaia, and warned that the first part of 2026 will be intense. The champion's message: enjoy the achievement, but remember that the hard work starts again. Right now I think it's something almost unrepeatable. Between the sprints and the races, there are a lot of points at stake every weekend and it's not easy. One of the season's talking points was Marquez asking doctors to let him ride in Valencia, an idea his medical team rejected. He explained that while missing a test costs reference laps and feel, the far greater penalty would be arriving at February testing and preseason in anything less than top physical condition. In his assessment, the risk of aggravating the injury outweighed the benefits of the Valencia laps. So he accepted the conservative route, accept short-term absence, protect the rehab, and target full readiness for the winter test program in Malaysia and Thailand. It would penalize me much more not to be in good physical condition in February than not having done the Valencia test. Practically, Marquez is planning a phased return, hoping to start more intensive rehab soon and then use the official 5 preseason test days, 3 in Malaysia, 2 in Thailand, to rebuild his track minutes in a controlled way. Off the bike, Marquez shared a touching moment from Valencia's awards ceremony, an unrehearsed decision to bring his family on stage. He described it as spontaneous and deeply felt, a way to mark what he called an historic season and to publicly thank the people who sustained him through lean years and grueling rehab. He also reflected on the rarity of 2 brothers, Marc and Alex, thriving at the highest level in the same year, and how that family story has become part of the season's narrative. I thought, this moment has to be immortalized. Champion on stage with family is now a defining visual of the weekend and a reminder that, even for the sport's fiercest competitors, the personal context matters. Marc Márquez's message is consistent and professional. Celebrate the extraordinary 2025, but don't mistake celebration for complacency. Medical prudence now aims to secure the physical base for another campaign of maximum performance. Keep an eye on his rehabilitation bulletins over the winter, and whether he completes the Malaysia and Thailand tests as planned. Those days will tell us how quickly Marquez can turn recovery into race readiness. Puig doesn't mince words when describing the state of Marquez's arm after the Jerez crash and subsequent complications, multiple surgeries, chronic pain, and an arm that, in Puig's view, was hanging on by a thread. He explains how that physical breakdown translated into a dramatic loss of strength, an altered riding position, and the practical impossibility of sustaining race pace for a full Grand Prix, not just a single flying lap. The clip lays out the medical urgency that forced the rider and team to weigh immediate returns against long-term health and performance. What was it like? What do you think? His arm was hanging by a thread. He was very brave to make that decision. Puig and the documentary place huge emphasis on the 2022 surgery as a decisive moment. It wasn't cosmetic. Puig frames it as a necessary step to restore alignment, reduce internal tension in the arm, and recover the strength needed for 45-minute races at full speed. He describes the choice to stop and attempt a real fix as one of the most important and courageous decisions in Marquez's career, a medical reset that gave him any chance of returning to the very top. The film also underlines the long road of rehab that followed, showing why the comeback could not be rushed. The moment he decided, "I have to stop to truly recover," was when he recognized that he couldn't continue at the level he wanted. Puig is clear that Honda's support during the low points was decisive. He credits the manufacturer with backing Marquez's medical decisions and giving him the space and resources to find out if he could be competitive again. That institutional support included medical access, rehab programs, and a willingness to prioritize the rider's long-term career over short-term returns, a factor Puig singles out as critical to the eventual comeback. The documentary frames this as a reminder that elite sport is a collective effort, and that technical talent alone can't overcome physical limits without organizational backing. Honda was incredibly supportive at that time. They understood the situation completely, without any objections, reservations, or resistance. Honda was there for him. Puig stresses that before the injury Marquez was operating at a rare level of speed and confidence, super high, and that the physical problems robbed him of the ability to sustain that level. The documentary argues that the combination of surgical intervention, hard rehab, and mental resolve allowed Marquez to recover much of what had been lost. Puig also reflects on the emotional side, how witnessing that low point and the eventual recovery reinforced the view that Marquez's comeback was as much about courage and character as it was about bike setup or data. That year, he would have won, he would have dominated the championship. Everything was at a super high level. Volver brings viewers behind the headlines to the human choices that shape elite careers, and Puig's testimony is a stark reminder of the costs behind a comeback. His verdict is simple: Marquez's decision to stop, fix the arm, and rebuild was painful but necessary, and the combination of rider grit and Honda's support made the extraordinary return possible. For fans, the film reframes the 2025 title not just as a sporting triumph, but as the end of a long and risky recovery.